This is Love Smarter, the show for women who want extraordinary love and aren't afraid to learn for it. Here's your host, Laurie-Anne King.
Hey. Do you know how to pivot? In today's episode, I'm going to be teaching you a process that is so simple but so powerful for changing your focus and helping you get more of what you want. Pivoting is all about changing your focus. Let me give you an example, and if you will, it's a sports analogy. Yes, we're going to the sport of basketball. So the rules of basketball are that you can only move while you are dribbling the ball. As soon as you hold on to the ball, you can't move anymore. Now, this would be a real problem. You'd have to be very, very careful about what direction you're facing as soon as you stop holding the ball if it weren't for one thing. Yes, the pivot. You're allowed to pivot, and what you do is keep one foot stationary and the other one can move. So you can actually change your direction a full 360 degrees. Pivoting is all about changing your perspective. The quality of our thoughts indicates the quality of our life. And if you want to improve any area of your life, including your romantic life, learning how to pivot is one of the easiest ways to start to change and increase the quality of your thinking. Research has shown that humans have over 50,000 thoughts per day, and 99.9% of them are the same thoughts that you had yesterday. And majority of them are negative. Why? Well, we're actually wired to detect the threat. From an evolutionary standpoint, being able to notice the negative stimulus in the environment, to be able to detect the threat and remember it for next time, was extremely important. So our brain gives more attention to negative stimulus. It's a little bit like we're all running around with these old brains that were built for a time when we needed to defend our survival on a daily basis. Now we're still running around with this old brain that's wired to detect threats, but we live a life that's relatively light of physical threats that actually will impact whether or not we make it to the end of the day. So what happens is these old brains find threats in places that are not threatening, like nitpicking apart our partner or finding fault in something that's great. This is where the pivot becomes really helpful. The universe conspires on our behalf. It wants to give us what we want, and it takes direction from us all day long in the form of our thoughts. Our thoughts and our words are signaling to the universe what it is that we want, what we want to create and manifest. Now, if majority of those thoughts are negative or are actually things we don't want that our old brain has evolved to see, we're going to be getting a lot more of what we don't actually want. So here is where the pivot becomes crucial. Learning how to pivot from our brain's natural state of detecting the threat, detecting the thing we don't want, and pivoting towards focusing on what we do want. When you really start to pivot, life gets easier. Now, I talk a lot about the reticular activator system. This is the part of our brain where nearly all information enters the brain. And what the reticular activator system does is decide which information is important enough to make it into our conscious awareness and which stays in our subconscious. So what you focus on, you are telling your reticular activator system is important information, and it is going to push more of that information up into your conscious mind. And it might very well be ignoring information that is actually something more aligned with what you want. Let me give you an example. If what you focus on is how your man embarrasses you in public, and you don't want him to be embarrassing you in public, and so you're thinking about that, your reticular activator system gets that that's important information and will look for things to be embarrassed about. Now, when you pivot, you find the exact opposite of that thought. You shift from what it is you don't want to focusing on what it is that you do want. So if what you do want is, I want to feel proud of my man while I'm out in public, now your reticular activator system is looking for things to be proud of. We need to learn how to use the wiring between our ears to our advantage. One of the ways to do that is to actually ask yourself a question aligned with the new desire. So what I want is to feel proud of my man. What am I proud of about him? Your brain will automatically start to look for answers. Well, I'm proud of him because he has a good job. And I'm proud of him because he opens doors for elderly ladies. I'm proud of him because he always says hello to the cashier at the grocery store. You will suddenly begin to find the information that is a match for your new focus and your new desire. So here is how the pivot process works. The first thing you need to do is notice that you're focusing on something that you don't want. Awareness is key. We always have to start here. Without being aware of your thoughts, you don't have any chance at changing them. Now, in the beginning, you will catch some of your negative thoughts, but you'll probably miss most of them. The more you practice, the faster and better able you'll be able to detect when you're focusing on something that you actually don't want. Once you've become aware of your negative focus, you have step 2. You can choose to pivot. You have to consciously choose to change your attention, to shift your focus to something that you do want. Negative thoughts can be addictive, and if you're being honest, there's probably some times when you want to chase them down the rabbit hole. We feel sometimes a feeling of righteousness or a feeling of control when we are judging someone else or when we're criticizing something. So it actually takes a conscious choice to give that up and choose to shift our focus to something positive. Napoleon Hill said, "Never let a negative thought complete itself." Now, sometimes the thoughts will escape you. Sometimes they will get completed before you even know you've got them. But I like to think about it, well, if the thought has completed itself, then never let the negative sentence complete itself. And if that's already completed, then don't let the negative paragraph complete itself. And if the paragraph is already done, then don't let it become a negative chapter or a negative book. As soon as you become aware that you're focusing on something you don't want, interrupt it and choose to shift your focus. The third step is the actual pivot. I recommend thinking about the opposite of the thought. This is one of the fastest ways to get out of the hypnotic feeling that negative thoughts can have. What is the opposite of what you were just thinking of? Is that what you want? It might not be, but I bet it's closer than what you were originally thinking about. Clarify what it is that you actually desire and choose that as your focus. Once you're clear on what it is you desire, the next question to ask yourself is, are there any actions I can take right now to move me closer to that? This is about getting out of just our thoughts and now actually turning them into action to start creating some of the results that we want. Pivot process is so simple but so effective. You can use this in your relationship, use it with your partner, whenever you catch yourself thinking about something that you don't want. If you don't want more of it, if you don't want that to grow and amplify in your life, that's a really good sign. It's time to pivot your thought. Pivot your thought to focus on something that you do want. Look for the opposite, and if that inspires you, if that's exciting to you, then focus on that and see if there's any new actions to take. All right, that's all for today. I'll catch you next time, and until then, love smarter. Hey, did you like this episode? Then you will love my upcoming live online class. You'll leave with insights that improve your love life immediately. Plus, you'll have the chance to ask me anything. This class is completely free and it always fills up quickly. So head on over to laking.tv/free class to register right now. See you in class.